Welcome back to the Creative Return. This beautiful day, I am in Santa Monica, California, near the Pacific, and feeling many different waves coming through as I wake up to this day and this moment and this practice to show up here, to show up for my creative self, for my soul self, for all the ways that life wants to express through me, to show up for that no matter what. So, welcome on this day. I'm glad you're here and that you pressed play. Before we begin, as I said before, I am in the process of sharing and reading my book with you, Finding My Bones, a fantastical memoir of my endless metamorphoses and lessons learned. Oh my goodness, and so many lessons learned, and I keep learning them. And every time I go back to these pages, it's like I left myself a little roadmap for these times that we are currently living in, where I really feel that it's a compelling time for us to step back into deep listening, deep engagement with ourselves, our soul, the expression that is available, the innovation, the solutions that is right there if we choose to engage them. So breathe with me for just a moment. And as we enter this space and time, I want to breathe with you. I want to acknowledge all the elements that makes this playground so significant. That is the spirit of air that teaches me acceptance, brings about change, gives us life. Spirit of air and the spirit of water. That, we're made out of water. Water in the ocean, in the rivers, in the lakes, the ponds, puddles, in our tears and sweat. I honor the spirit of water that teaches me how to emote without getting lost, but to follow motion, to go with the flow, to trust the route of least resistance. And the way water can carve and create is pretty spectacular. The spirit of fire. Ooh, so fierce, so formidable, so destructive, or is it? Feels wise in its ways. It also ignites the passions and the desires and all that's available. So, to the spirit of fire, I always want to acknowledge and thank thee for igniting passion and desire in myself, and also helping me digest what is. Whew. And always acknowledging the spirit of earth, this Mama Gaia, this earth plane that we belong to, that we come from in these human bodies, allowing spirit to be embodied. Remembering our place in the in-between as we connect heaven and earth in this form with this consciousness that we hold. It's pretty spectacular in my mind, from my perspective. And I feel compelled to also just honor all the directions and call myself into this moment. And maybe you want to do the same from the north, the south, the west, and the east, from above and below, and reminding us that as within, so without. And so with that presencing of what is sacred to me and how I drop myself into moments to remind myself of that this is not about me really. That's my, I guess you can call it a prayer. I hope you're well. I hope you're managing your point of attention and enjoying what life has to offer. Because there's a lot of calling on our attention out there. It is fierce and it is coming at us strong. I have to take my shoes off and get on the ground. And I will share, I think at the end, after I do my reading, I'll share with you a couple of the things that I do to calm my nervous system that I find is incredibly helpful. So if you want to stay and hear that little bit, maybe it'll help you. Stay as we are going to dive in and read chapter 3 of Finding My Bones. Yes, one night, as an 18-year-old on the brink of a grand adventure, I stood on a balcony, listening to the raucous sounds of people celebrating the end of a knowable schedule. Once again, I found myself in between worlds, staring down at the street, watching the light reflect on the pavement. I glimpsed a shadow. My breath caught when I noticed the staff and the bulging bag. When she glanced up, meeting my gaze, she pointed to the stars. I smiled, breathed deeply, and felt the urge to howl. The next day, I cut my hair short and claimed my right to be me. That night, as I danced with abandon among friends and strangers, arms wide open, I found a bone, visible only to me in the starlight. I remember that night clearly. And as I weave in the mythology into this moment, into all these pivotal moments where I recognized a piece of myself, it was pretty amazing to just go the next day and cut my hair. My hair was longer than it is now, and I cut it short, pixie, off. My mom was not very happy with me, but it was liberating. It was me claiming myself, and it was an amazing time this year. But after high school, I felt alienated from the group I had spent 12 years with. When December arrived and everyone banded together to celebrate their newfound freedom, I ran in the opposite direction. I knew my bones were waiting for me on the wild east coast of South Africa, where I had found sanctuary year after year. I'd one last childlike summer to pretend. During that break, we ran through the waves and built big fires on the shore of the Kai River. I was an innocent who had broken a boy's heart after 3 years of love, trying to make amends and then finding a rebound romance to fill the void. We shivered and cuddled with new friends, waiting for the sun to rise. I ran with my dad, tubed on the river with strangers, and danced on the front lawn with my mother to ABBA. It was the last remnant of childhood, the final days before stepping across the threshold into adulthood. Oh my gosh, I'm getting emotional. Wow. Sweet memories. Maybe I'm getting emotional because as I remember that time and mourn the loss of my mother and father in this realm, I'm also raising 2 teenagers at the moment. And within raising teenagers, there's a real grief that sets in. It's a very interesting experience. So sit with me in that for a moment. And then I boarded a plane with my newfound autonomy, love notes and forgiveness tucked into my pocket, tears streaming down my face. I felt nervous, excited, and terrified of all I didn't know, all the mistakes waiting to happen. But above all, I felt relief. I was finally free. I carried my bones everywhere across London, I never let them go, even when I slept in strange, uncomfortable places. And they guided me to Scotland, where I found many more beautiful bones. And one night, wandering the streets of Glasgow, I explored the nightlife, watching how people danced and let loose. It wasn't so different from Johannesburg. I stood there alone, feeling a little shy, but pretending to belong was fun. Soon I found myself chatting with people in thick Glasgow accents. I nodded and smiled and laughed my way through it, unsure of half of what was said. Glasgow had many faces. My time there felt dreamlike. I felt like I was drifting underwater, seeing the world through a fish-eye lens, with no preconceived ideas. My perspective stretched wide. I first heard shouting, two men in the center of a circle, fists flying. The surrounding crowd roared. I didn't feel afraid, only fascinated, as if watching a film. Drifting away from the violence, I turned a corner and saw two lovers stumbling down an alley, laughing, tangled in each other. Further on, near my hostel, I noticed an older man slouched against a wall, the amber glow of his cigarette the only light on his face. His body sagged, his spirit almost given away. He caught my eye and gave the smallest wave, an unspoken greeting between strangers, a glimpse into another world. And finally, I made it back just before curfew, and as I closed the door quietly, movement on the street caught my eye. I peered into the light. La Loba grinned at me. It was the first time I noticed her smile. She raised her staff and pointed directly at me before letting out a wild cackle. I hesitated, then joined her. For only a moment, we laughed together. Then she was gone. That night, my dreams came like a freight train. I was on a clear path, celebrating. Um, Scotland was an incredibly magical time. And there's more stories to follow as I made my way through Scotland, moment by moment, sincerely. And how I even ended up there was pretty magical. But I literally was before the time of Apple Maps or GPS. We just folded out the map, and I would literally point with my finger and decide where I wanted to go and find a bus that would take me there and just jump on it. Such a sense of freedom. And I feel it's symbolic to how I choose to engage life and follow this sense of adventure. Adventure that is joy filled. And even when there's obstacles, looking for how water might flow around them or through them, looking for the cracks. I don't know. Life is pretty interesting right now. Always looking for a new perspective, right? I feel that's what we are birthing here is new perspective. And for me, the reminder is that the more we engage life as a creative process, a practice, and actually I was listening to Michael Mead speak, and he was talking about how false the saying, practice makes perfect, how false, and how it steers us down these really crazy routes, because practice makes practice, is what he said. And I agree with that. The more you practice, the more you want to practice, the more clarity you gain, the more you learn, the more you want to learn. And suddenly practice becomes this way of life. I am really working on a client of mine that is struggling with the obstacle of perfection, thinking things need to be perfect, and how debilitating that can be. And when Michael Meade was talking about how from Latin, the word perfect means, let me just recall this correctly. It is per means through, and effect is form. So if you're moving through the form, it's really death. It's done. So it's not striving for perfection. We're not striving to die. We are striving to give life form, and it's endless. So that's kind of a fun, exciting way of looking at it for me. Okay, and then I promised you I would share a couple of things that really helps my nervous system. When I feel anxiety build or overwhelm take over, and lethargy is very much a sign of, oh, here I go. I feel like I don't want to do anything. There's nothing that will make a difference. That's a sign to me that my nervous system is not calibrated. I go lie flat on the floor, flat on a hard surface, on the ground, even on a grass, even better. But if I'm home, just on the floor, flat. And then I breathe. I breathe the count of 4. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale 4, hold 4. And I do that for at least 8 to 10 cycles, calibrating myself back to the rhythm, the heartbeat, the breath of the earth, and sort of settling my nervous system down. That's when I'm really kind of in a feeling of distress, or I know I'm overdone something. It's very effective. I also love to put my feet up against the wall and just relax there, really just listen to my breath, watch my thoughts go by, and just stay there for a minimum of 5 minutes and watch your nervous system calm down. When I feel, and the third one, the final one, is when I feel the pressure build in my center here, from my back into my center, and then my neck starts freezing up. I feel like a lot of us might feel that. Like the heart chakra is really wanting to open right now. And if we resist that with this mind that is trying to make sense of everything, that there is nothing to know right now, we are in an unknown, there's nothing to understand and know. So the mind goes overactive, the heart gets very activated. This is my feeling. This is how I understand it for myself. I have to stop and really breathe into this space through my nose, and then I hold the breath, and then I breathe in through my mouth some more, and I drop my shoulders. Now I'm losing breath as I speak, but I keep inhaling until I'm completely filled up, and I relax my shoulders, and I'm breathing into this space, expanding my rib cage, expanding my back, and I'm really holding the breath there. Feeling the pressure go down into the earth. And only when I'm really feeling my body start to relax with full breath in, it's not necessarily relax. It's like something starts to settle. It's like my head empties and my awareness settles into my body. I slowly breathe out through my mouth with like a straw-like action. Like all the way out. And at the bottom, I make sure I exhale all the air, pulling my belly button to my spine, exhaling all the air, letting everything out, holding the breath out, holding it out. And again, I settle myself down, 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 focusing on my feet, the soles of my feet, dropping my shoulders. I let everything settle. I let my tongue relax in my mouth. And then, very gently and slowly, when I feel I've fully accomplished sort of dropping down, and you can hold your breath out for a long time. We're all different. But as long as you can, you just inhale very quiet, as quiet, almost you don't want to hear your breath. You just want to inhale and exhale as quietly as you can. And just feel your body relax. And then there's almost a tingle in the fingers and the toes that comes, and then you can take the top of your ears and just presence yourself into this day and time. Name the time, name the day, name yourself, and call yourself home. Those are my tips for, you know, snapping yourself out of anxiety or an overwhelm moment, and just bringing yourself home to that you have what you need, you have enough. Trust that life has your back, that nothing, that if we can trust more and really engage the creative of life, I I believe this. I believe that we will get to the other side and have new perspective. So life flat on the floor, breathe 4 counts in, 4 counts hold, 4 counts out, 4 counts hold. Do 8 to 10 cycles of that. Put your feet up against the wall. Just settle down and breathe, focusing on your breath and just relaxing. And then that inhale, hold, sip more air in, really focusing on dropping down. And looking for new perspective. It's not, no one's going to solve these things. We have to start within. As within, so without. So, with all of that, I'm sending you so much love and deep gratitude for this time we get to share, and for you dropping in here and hanging out with me and reading my book with me. May these moments be of value to you as they are to me. May we all share the medicine of ourselves. And if you did find any value or you liked what you heard, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and drop me a note. Let me know what you thought. Let me know what's coming up for you. Until next time.